Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast for jmoreliving.com. Welcome to the show. If you're the first time tuning in, I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Feel free to post any questions. I will be looking to the side to check for any comments or questions for our guest or for me. My guest today is one of the most beloved, I would say the most beloved chefs here in Baltimore, Chef Nancy Longo. And we welcome Nancy. Nancy has Pierpoint Restaurant. A big hello. She's squeezing this interview in today as a favor to me. She's very busy with her box meals by Pierpoint, and she has Passover boxes that she's working on and other boxes, and we're going to get to that. Hi, Nancy.
Hi there. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Nancy, it's been about actually over a year since you've been on my show,
Yes.
and I'm grateful that you were able to join us, but what a year it's been. I
Whoa is
think
right.
for me, if I could play music in the background, it would be I Am a Survivor. What has it been like for you? An independent restaurant, a women-owned restaurant, 31 and a half years opened in the Baltimore area, involved in many charities. What has this year been like for you?
I think the perfect word for myself, and I would imagine a bunch of my friends in this business, would be the word roller coaster. And for those who know me, I don't get on them. I don't ride them. So being on this has been quite tumultuous. Starting with clothes, husband passed, sat in quarantine, and then I had to figure out the heck I was doing for the foreseeable future until we could figure out when and what we were going to be able to do to make money. Because at that point, we were all closed. And so I've been a lucky soul. There have been a lot of really great people. I call them my angels. Who've been out there for me for the past year, and in turn we gave back an enormous amount. So I came back from quarantine. My friend Andrew Sachs, who owns Heart of the Harbor Park Garage, Heart of the Park, said, Nancy, I don't want to see you go down. We're friends. So we started a campaign, and we did over 26,000 meals for people that were out of work and homeless or just needed a meal. And then my little side gig here, which not a lot of people know about because I just do it upon when we need, well, called Nurture Meals, did some delivery COVID boxes for people for free because they had a whole family that were sick. And then it just kind of mushroomed, and we thought, well, if we can do this meal thing here, why don't we try something else? And one of my friends said, would you do something for me for Easter? And so we did. And then it became Mother's Day, and this thing mushroomed and gone into Carroll County. We've got folks that come. And then we have had all these other themed boxes. And, this week I thought, well, let's do it. We put on one for Passover. A friend of mine who asked me to do that for her. And it's huge. We got a big week this week, which is really, really pretty awesome. But it's not been for a lack of fun, because this open close in Baltimore City, us at 25% means 4 human beings inside here. I can't pay the bills with that, and an enormous amount of things that have broken, and just a lot of stress for me. But I would say that that's not fair for me to just talk about myself, because I know that I've talked to my friends at 3 a.m. texting whatever, and everyone's so stressed out, and it's not because of what has already happened in past, but they're concerned about what's going to happen in the future. So we have that to contend with, while all of us learned a whole lot of lessons about how to fill out paperwork and try to get money and grants and GoFundMe's and everything else to keep ourselves alive. So it's been it's been a long, long journey, and it's not over yet. For those who think it's over just because somebody got a shot, it's not. And we still have to be kind to each other and work it out. So
Yes, yes, kind. It's, when we had a change of leadership, things felt better.
mhm.
And now we're seeing, I don't know why people have to hate. I don't understand it. With the what's going on with the Asians, just because something happened in China, it's
Correct.
ludicrous to what's going on. And these are the times to be kind to people. And I watched a video. A woman did a study. It was a TEDx, and my sister sent the video, and it listed all the different things that affects your health and living longer, whereas you would think diet or exercise. And the number one thing that keeps you healthy and living longer is interacting with people and being kind with people and talking to that cashier at the food store, or a pleasant nod to somebody that you're walking by. Just, it doesn't cost you anything, and it makes a
No,
person feel better.
Dara, it's very interesting because I've read a bunch of these articles that said, there's a plenty of people who have not had a good time of it and not had a lot of money because they lost their job or this or that. And we can definitely talk about that. But they're saying the one thing that you could do to help those out in my business was to be kind, to like their page, to spread their stuff around, try to help them out, give them words of encouragement. And I really believe that what you're saying about interacting with people and also to be out there to try to be kind to others is really amazing. Again, I don't even want to mention how many friends and families who I've just given food to and fed in the last year, just because it keeps me going. Like I feel really happy when I fed someone. But my joke has always been through every charity that I've been involved in. And they say, "Why do you do this?" And I said, my tagline is, "It's my job to feed everyone." And so, that's really important. But you're right. A lot of people they're really suffering from having been isolated, not seeing their grandkids and not seeing whatever. And then those of us that are in my business are really depressed because they're so used to interacting with people all the time. And then you had places that were closed, or you can only have so many of them in there, and you can only like figure out how much staff can I have in here, whatever. And it's just really an enormous amount of stress. And I've been reading a bunch of articles lately talking about the stress. There's a whole different set of stress that people are coming out of this slowly and trying to figure it out. And it's causing a whole nother new set of stress for people.
Well,
Some people found out they were introverted. Some people were totally fine with it. Some people lost their mind over it. And we have very big concerns for like kids that have it. And I like in the summertime we do cooking camps for the kids, and we didn't do it last summer. And I don't know what'll happen this summer. We put it out there, but the parents are very cautious, and I don't blame them right now because no one knows what's happening with these variants and all the other stuff in this world. But I have to say that it's very interesting because I look at my friends. I have a lot of chef friends from out of state, some of which and I listen to what they've been telling me, and ones that were closed, some of them who had their buildings vandalized, some of them who were just hanging on by thread, some of them were involved with training women to actually enter this business. Um, that the restaurant business, by and large, has really tried hard to take care of themselves. While they needed and need and still do need help from the government and the general public, the things that they've done to feed other unemployed workers, or the things that they've done to try to just make sure that somebody is not left behind, in terms of funding projects and different things that they're doing to take care of bartenders, or restaurant, employees. It's just utterly, it's amazing to me. And while I'm not thrilled about living through this, I'm thrilled that I actually have seen that, because it's very heartwarming. I actually had some people that literally came in here and gave us their entire checks from that they got for their whatever the thing we got, the stimulus checks. Like, they were just like, I don't want to see you not survive. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, this is just utterly amazing when there's so many things that people could be doing for themselves, and yet they're just still looking out for us, which is really pretty cool.
It's heartwarming.
It is.
And the restaurant industry is called the hospitality industry, and it's always been about feeding people, taking care of them. And right now, I mean, it is a dire time for restaurants, not only as to, especially Baltimore City, the up and down, not having so many people coming in the door, and the mayor holding back. And I'm sure there are good reasons for that. But as the restaurants start opening, there's no staff.
Correct. That's a whole nother thing I was going to talk to you about. So I've spoken to at least a dozen of my friends, and they are frantic. They can't find any staff. And somebody says, well, that's because they're getting these unemployment checks. That's not necessarily true. A bunch of these people felt like they were left behind at the very beginning of this. And I think they spent weeks on that phone. I sat on looking on these pages. These people were freaking out how I'm going to pay the bills because they couldn't get through. I'm like number 248 in line to speak to an agent for unemployment, that they moved on to another career. And that does happen. And so what do we do to fix that problem? And there's going to be a day of reckoning in terms of how we deal with the restaurant staff. But we're like I don't know, what is it, the second or third largest industry in the entire country. If we
Right.
don't take care of these people, how in the heck are we going to ever expect this place to become prolific again, and worry about whether or not people can pay their bills? It's a really hard thing. I mean, I just sit there and I watch these things. They're like, everyone's hiring for an entire staff. It's nuts. They can't find enough people fast enough.
Well, I
And
think even
so in other words, even if they were told, oh, we can begin to be open at 50% or whatever, they can't be open at 50% because they don't have enough staff. So how do they make enough money to pay their bills anyway? And whatever anyone got in PPPs and these other things are paying some employees, but are you making enough money to pay your utilities and your rent and your taxes and all these other things? There's so many things that are still out there that are undone that need to get paid, and that stress is still there. It's still there for so many, and I just hope and pray that it gets better fast, but we'll see.
well, staffing, not to this level, but staffing was an issue prior to the pandemic.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
now people saying, I can't make it on minimum wage and tips. I can't
They
live
can't.
like this.
They can't.
And I have to go forward. I have to find another way to make a living. And because technology is here, so many people can work from home. They're finding other avenues to make a living, or taking courses, or saying, where can I go? The frustration level, the roller coaster ride, you have it. You aren't the only one. It's
No,
out there.
absolutely not.
And when I end the show, I say support your local restaurants. Um, you have always been involved with charities, going back to a very big charity event, and we mentioned it a year ago, which was
Mm-hmm.
Save the Bay, where you
Yep.
had celebrity chefs come in and you did a tented event. I think in those days it was still $125 a ticket, wasn't it? Something
Yes.
like that, or
It
was
might. It might have been that much. It might have even been more. I mean, that lineup of chefs is pretty amazing. And it was a magical event as far as I'm concerned. But what I said, somebody said, well, if you write a letter to Alice Waters and she says she's going to show up because you told her you're going to clean some water, you can guarantee everybody else will come behind her. And they did. And there are a lot of people that love this area here, you know, and we want to keep it going. But anyway, I'm sorry. Back to what you were saying about.
No, that's okay. And I'm just checking here. We have some hellos from Colleen and Jeffrey.
Hey
So,
there.
hey, uh, let's talk about what you're doing now. You have until today at 3 p.m. for pickup.
Yes.
Tomorrow, I'm assuming
Yes.
for Passover because they're not
So
coming on Saturday.
the tomorrow people had to order by Tuesday, and then the other people order by the weekend. And so what we've actually, when we did this box thing, we also believed that we were trying to do meals for folks who forget about whether the restaurant was open. They just are terrorized to go out and in the community and worry about how they were going to eat and feel safe. And so what we do on a weekly basis is we have folks who call and then they order whatever's in the box. So the box is posted on Pierpoint Restaurant and Catering Facebook page and our website,
which is
and
pierpointrestaurant.com.
pierpointrestaurant.com. And what we do is we change it up from week to week. If someone calls and they have a dietary issue, then we can make them something else. But we basically make them enough food for them to last for a week. And maybe it lasts a little less than that if they eat the stuff more than one meal a day. But we're trying to bring someone of value, not quite the same as those meals that you see online where you get the HelloFresh box or whatever that comes to your door. These are handmade meals, you know. There's one of my staff's in the back cutting steaks right now. The other one is checking on the brisket for the Passover meal.
Passover
And
box.
yeah, and then we have another friend who's here cutting chicken and things. So we make every single thing in here ourselves, and dressings and everything too, just to give someone an opportunity to have something else. But it's very reasonably priced. I mean, I've looked around. I looked at what people charge for other stuff, and it is more expensive than us. It
Right.
is, but
This week's full box is $120, and you
yep.
get a choice of chicken, a Tuscan chicken or a chicken cordon bleu, and you can mix and match steaks and or Mediterranean fish and the Pierpoint famous crab cakes, regular and smoked. The specialties this week is Cobb salad, shrimp fajita kit, cheese lasagna, lamb or chicken tikka masala, and kebabs with butternut squash, rice, and cilantro sauce, corn crack. Everybody loves your corn crack. Why don't you explain what corn crack is?
You know, it's funny. Well, most people like cornbread. It's an American staple, but in our case, this corn crack is a cross between, if you had a baby between some pound cake and some cornbread. So it's extremely buttery. You could use it for breakfast. It goes on the grill really well. It can be pan griddled. You can have it with fruit. It's really yummy. And there are weeks when we don't have it in the box. People say, "Can I just get one of those?" And then she doesn't tell you the last one. So you have a choice of either a pecan pie or yep,
brownies.
or some brownies. And these brownies are pretty outrageous too. All
Right, and they
homemade, made with Calabo chocolate, Valrhona. Calabo chocolate, not for Valrhona. Used for make silverware out of that. For the brownie, so we don't use anything cheap. We're just trying to keep it going, keep it moving, so that we can. I I just I think that that's all anybody in my business can do right now, especially folks in the city. You know, I think that the county is a different story because they fall under the governor's rules, which they can be completely open. I'm not really sure how safe that is. I do see some absolute craziness where I live in Canton, and I'm just hoping that we can, as what did Fauci say yesterday? He said we're at the corner. We have to decide whether we can turn it. So I'm just hoping that people continue to be mindful of that and continue to keep doing some form of carry. If it's not from us, but anybody, for restaurants that are tiny and are not you got to understand all these little restaurants down here in the city. So the capacity of 75 or 80 seats. Then you tell them they can have one quarter of that. They can't pay their bills if they can only let 12 people in at one time. Just can't do it. It's just not going to work. So, you know, you have to have some angels, and, you know, a couple around me have already fallen. They're not going to reopen. And I'm sad about that. I'm sad because I think that this city down here in Fells Point is filled up with a lot of tiny little restaurants that are mom and pops that dump their money out on the line to make it happen. And sure, we got the big corporates and the big money bags and all that stuff, but the bulk of what keeps this place going is the little guys down here, and we're all trying. For a while there, I just would be like, okay, I'm gonna go home, and when I go home tonight, I'm gonna order food from one of my other friends' restaurants so I can get it come to my house and I can support them, and because they're closed, and do whatever. You know, that's how you have to operate, and I'm gonna keep that up. But I think that the state of the industry is going to change drastically. I think you're going to see a lot more of this meal plan stuff that we're involved in doing. We're in the middle
The
of
ghost
working out.
kitchens.
Yeah, and we're in the middle of another project. We're from some downtown folks who are working in office are going to be able to get some stuff delivered to a car on a Friday afternoon, and they can take it home. So we got some pretty cool things that are coming down the pike. But you know, it's just it's a hard place to be in, and simultaneously, I just think that there are so many people that really have really suffered so far, and but we continue to be a city that takes care of its own. So I'm proud of that. I really am proud of that.
Yeah. Let me tell people before I forget. We've said it before. You can find about these boxes on pierpointrestaurant.com. It says boxes by Pierpoint, or their Facebook page, which is Pierpoint Restaurant and Catering. And that's where it's posted. And you call 410-675-2080 to order. Don't email, don't text, call, and they'll take the
Well,
orders. 410
we're working on putting a little line.
675-2080. And you can get a full box if you're like me and you're one person. Maybe you want half a box or some of the items. They will do it a la carte. Now, Nancy's
Yes.
been in Baltimore for a long time, and she grew up here. She's an indie girl. And I did a video a long time ago, but let me ask you the question that I asked in this video many, many chefs. Why food, Nancy?
Oh, well. So everyone looks at me and says, "You look like a nice Irish girl." Well, I'm not Irish. I am half Scottish. And my father was Italian. And one of the things that got me to continue to want to do what I'm doing, I originally was going to school to be a set designer. That's really in the theater stuff. But my dad had both Crohn's and celiac. So, you know, anyone in the Jewish community understands that because that's a giant affliction for the Jewish community. But I watched my father sick every day, and I watched my mother struggle with dealing with meals like a
Right.
cafeteria for all of us in the house. And I used to cook with my grandmother when we were kids, but she didn't speak English, so I don't know what she was saying. So I learned to cook Italian food at a very young age. But then I also became very interested in dealing with people who have had these issues with Crohn's and celiac and all that stuff. So, like when people call and they say, "Well, you know,
Right.
I have this," well, guess what? We got your crab cakes taken care of. You're not going to get any gluten. We got your other things taken care of. A couple people did call this week for that Passover block, and they said, "You know what? I'm really concerned about this." I said, "You know, I mean, look, I go straight to your face because most of your listeners are Jewish. I'm not, but somebody in my family was Jewish because there was a couple of Jewish ladies' names on the on the
When you do
family
one of the
tree. So
family tree,
it's all
sure.
good. It's all good. But the bottom line is it doesn't matter. But the bottom line with me is it's my job to feed everybody. I don't care what their story is. But my father basically kept our house kosher. We didn't have any pork. We didn't have all those things in our house, even though he was Italian. because his friends that were Jewish told him, Joe, you can't have any shellfish, you can't have any pork. That's what's probably causing these problems. So he did, and so I became much more interested in multicultural cooking from a very young age, and so it's a fabric of life. We always joke, if your family's Italian or they're Greek or they're Jewish or they're Asian, count on too much food at your house, because that's what went down. And it's all good because it's how the families stay together. So I feel like every day that I'm making food and sending it out the door, I'm sending a little bit of a situation for someone to feel um, inclusive with food and family if they can't make their own meals. Some of the people that we've done this stuff for, I have a few people that we do them for have relatives that have dementia, and they just said, I can't deal with my family member as well as make food too. And I was like, well, tell me what you want. So we do vegetarian boxes. We do other stuff. People call us up. It's like having a private chef, and I've done that too. I had one,
Yes,
one,
yes.
one gentleman
Yeah,
who it was pretty wild. I was his chef. He had 3 months left to live. I applied for this job. I beat out 8 other chefs, get the job. He had like I said, 3 months to live. I cooked for him until he passed away, intestinal cancer. And his family never forgot that. 25, not 25, maybe it was 25. Yeah, it was 25 years later. So the mother was then 85 years old. And she said, I just want to see Nancy cook me dinner again. And I was thinking, see, that's the kind of stuff that as a chef, you think, wow, did I make that impression on someone that they wanted to come back at me to do that again? I think that's really an important thing to think about as a chef. What can I do to give someone the feeling that they realize that I actually put care and love into making sure they were fed right, and that's a cool thing to do.
well, I
And
mean, you did it. We've just seen Ichabod, who drove 6 hours
I
up to
will
Connecticut.
I don't tell I didn't tell him about this story, but we did drive 2 hours to all the way to Philadelphia for someone that was dying of cancer, to take him some crab cakes. And I had another one time I was looking on the Canton Neighbors page. There was a gal who said, my friend's dying of lung cancer and she just wants a damn cheesecake. And everyone wrote, just go to the grocery store and buy one. She goes, no, I want her to have a nice warm one out of the oven. I said, what time can you be here? So, we do that. But Anchorman, that's the ultimate. Mine's not that ultimate, but cooking for someone that had 3 months left to live and every day was your wish is my command is something that I find to be utterly amazing, that I was lucky enough to be given that opportunity. I really, really and truly believe that when you get those opportunities, they're gifts. They're very much our gifts. And it always comes back. You realize that for everyone I take care of, they're going to say, support her. So that's a good thing, but you do it mainly because you just want to feed them. I really,
Right.
really and truly believe that. One of my friends who recently, her husband has dementia and he's reaching the stage where he's not swallowing well. And I said to her, well, I learned how to make brunoise vegetables in culinary school, and I can make them so nice and wonderful.
I think we lost you. Can you hear me still? Well, I think we lost Nancy. I don't know. She'll come back. So, in the meantime, just to fill you in, that is Pierpoint Restaurant, and that's on Alexander Street. And right now they're doing the boxes of food. And call 410-675-2080. And I also want to say congrats to Sergio Vitale and his dad, Aldo. Their restaurant is celebrating 23 years in March. And check aldosrestaurante.com. They are sponsoring a live concert from London this weekend. You can find it at aldosconcert.com. So congratulations to Sergio and his dad. Nancy, I missed it when you tune in. Okay. I'm getting a text here. It shows that I'm live. I don't know whether it's Nancy or something that she sent to Nancy. But to Nancy, we always do shots of tequila. So my friend Jeffrey got me Espolon. And to Nancy, if you tune in to watch this, salute. So, the Food Enthusiast is taking next week off. And we'll be back on April 8th. And I'm thrilled and excited to have Chef Dave Thomas, formerly of Ida B's Restaurant, now Heirloom Food Group and Food Network's grand champion on Chop. Not only did he win Chop, he went against multiple champions. There she is. You missed it. I did a shot. I guess I need to do another one.
Oh, well, here. Well, sorry about that.
Okay.
So
Nancy's back.
I had to give my phone number to the. I have a car issue. I had to give my phone number to the car guy, and he was calling me. Sorry about that. I thought he wasn't going to call me. This is what you have to do when you own a business. Anyway.
So Nancy's back. Wish I had advance notice I have done the shot with you. Hate that you drink alone. Lauren, I'll do a second shot. Nancy will do a second.
Did we do a second? So for those of you out there, no, Dara is a lovely, mild-mannered friend who doesn't really drink. And she came to visit me once, and I said, you know, we need to have a little toast. And she said, well, what are you drinking? I said, tequila. And she said, I'm not sure I've drank that. And I said, I'm going to take care of you, and I'm going to make you drink a tequila, and you're going to like it. And so when we have a moment and we need to talk to each other, sometimes we have a toast. So, you know, we had a tequila.
Yeah. That night was 6 shots of tequila and you drove me home.
Well, yeah, there was that evening. And I think the other day I got you to drink some bourbon at my husband's wake. So we've moved on to bigger brands. But
Colleen says,
that being said,
Colleen sent a note in. Nancy is amazing. She is such a kind and caring soul, and her food is truly a reflection of her love of food and people. There's so much we could talk for hours on end. I don't think people know that, you know, you love ethnic foods, and you go and you worked at the Pimlico Hotel and worked with the Chinese chef many years ago. And when Barry Levinson was in town, I don't know if it was all his movies, weren't you his personal chef?
I did work for him, and it was probably one of the coolest jobs I ever had my whole life. And it was very funny because, you know, they come with the entourage. Everybody comes from California. And the gal that was with him said, you know, you can't just sit here and talk to him about Hollywood tips. I said, I don't think you understand. We're discussing cotties that were stale at the 7-Eleven under the plastic jar.
Right.
Because the bottom line is, I'm a Baltimore girl and I understand those things. And he really craved listening to what was going on with the food scene in Baltimore. So it was really kind of cool. But again, that was another a love fest job that I enjoyed. We did have some dietary restrictions, and I was totally, you know, as a chef, you cannot spend your whole life just, I only want to deal with high end, just people that have money or whatever. And you really need to take care of everyone, because everybody needs food and nourishment. But, as I was saying, but when the daggone phone rang, my friend whose husband has dementia, I was making him soups and stuff that he could swallow. But, you know, because my father had it too. And so it's really much more complex these days being a chef than just cooking food and looking for glory, looking for this or that. I mean, I'm at an stage, I'm like grandma at this point in the restaurant business. And the only thing I have left to prove is to cook food for people that are going to enjoy it and make them happy. And I take special requests. One of my friends asked me to make some asabugo I had not made since 1982 for them for dinner last night. So I did. And I think I made him happy. But, you know, that's the thing we do, because we really are trying to be hospitable, and that's why we call that hospitality. And we're also really trying to make sure that everyone gets food that makes them happy. I mean, sometimes we have to eat things we don't want to eat. We all have those lists of things that we don't like to eat, but when you have a willing chef to make you things that you want to eat and they stir up a memory or a thing that makes you happy, then that's what it's all
It
about.
warms your soul.
It
It's
does. It does.
right. Look, I'm a cook. I have you
I know.
over,
And you
cook
know
for
what?
you.
You always say frustrated baker because I've had some of your baked goods and they were very, very good. I'm
But
I'm I'm gracious, and those who don't know that during this pandemic, when I've had my low moments, that you picked up the phone and said, come over, sit in my yard 6 feet away from me, and I'll feed you something because everyone needs to feed the chef, and you're not fearful of feeding chefs, which is a good thing. But the bottom line is that it does make a difference in someone's life if we can make them something they want to eat, and that's my thing. That's my last leg in this business and legacy. So I'm going to continue to keep doing that. And the teaching. And the cool thing about the box is it's very interesting for those who've taken a class with us. A lot of the recipes that we use in this box are things that we've taught in our classes. And God help us, please soon can we have those things again. I miss the interaction with humans, even if the restaurant can't do what it wants to do. We still have a long list of things in here that died. Yeah, they just, it's kind of funny about that. The universe said, I'm done. So we're in the
right,
process of doing
you
some
fix.
renovations and things so we can
There was a
reopen.
tree
But,
growing. There's a
oh,
tree
yeah, so
grows
we
in
forgot about that.
Brooklyn.
We had a tree growing out of both bathrooms and it bent sideways and came out of the roof in the kitchen. And it literally knocked the walls down in the bathroom. So I had to renovate 2 bathrooms in the middle of all this, too. It's
Right,
things that you
right,
don't think about, and you think about, you're just like, God, I'm just trying to like keep it together, and then all these things happen. You think to yourself, God bless it, so people have helped us out with that, and they continue to, and we're gonna keep on trying. We like I said,
right.
my friends and I said it's a full-time job filling out grant papers for being a restaurant these days. I don't think anybody realizes like how much work that is for folks. And then you sit there and bite your fingernails for weeks to see if something is going to come through or happen because it's not completely happening for you as is. It's a really crazy place to be in. But I I tell people I have more angels than I ever thought I would have in my lifetime. So that's a really cool thing to know. Yes.
Mary Pat Mulder, Chef Longo is a champion for the city of Baltimore as well as the minority-owned businesses. She's one of the first to step up and aid those who are in need. She never hesitates. 25,000 meals served this COVID-19 pandemic and many nurture meals for those who, well, I get this. Let's see.
Well,
Sometimes this works. She had more who were visit Pierpoint Restaurant and Catering Facebook site for weekly offerings. Keep a seasoned independent restaurant in business in Baltimore City.
the other one,
Greg
yes, Greg.
Greg Ash says hi. I'm going to wrap up. You and I know that we can talk for hours on end, but
Yes.
let me end up with these two questions because we'll have you on the show again. I put
Yes.
out the promotion that you were going to be on the show, and like 17 people shared it. It's like a record-breaking number. Um, so, what was your ultimate culinary fail?
That episode of Chop with the freeze dried potato. So I don't know anybody ever knew this, but I did 4 episodes for Ready Set Cook in the '90s, in which I won a bunch of those, which was really cool. And then I got invited to do that chop thing, and then they gave me this freeze dried potato that never reconstituted, which is why I ended off in the second round. And to this day, I can't watch that video. And Alex Guarnacelli said that was not fair, Nancy. I've never seen anything like that. It looked like a fingerling potato, and it cooked like styrofoam, and got me chopped. but it's okay. You know what? You're a chef. You compete, you play, and you feed.
I had a question come in last night and you reminded me of it. Um, do you know in advance what's going to be in the boxes or is it a total
No,
surprise?
absolutely not. So when they do this thing, they put you through like 2 or 3 months of rigorous checking you out. They did say that it would be something from New England. And so I figured I'm gonna see these clams and lobsters and things, and I did. It was funny because again, Alex said to me, she goes, "You're a badass. I've never seen a woman rip lobsters apart with their bare hands, smash them, and move them around." And I went, I was in a hurry. So, but yes, no, they do. They don't. They do not tell you, and it's the whole thing is very secretive. Getting there, being there, doing the thing, and whatever. And then I would do it again in a heartbeat. I'm not. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed being out after round two. But it was crazy. It was fun.
Yeah. Okay, and my last question. What didn't I ask you that I should have?
Um, I think that you should have asked, what do you think that the future holds for the restaurant business in Baltimore City? And my answer to that would be that I think that the city of Baltimore is going to go through a really rough road in the next year or two. But what I see in the future down the pike for what's going on is a lot of really cool young chefs being able to open places that are so much more accessible. And I'm excited for them. I'm not, like I said, I'm an old grandma at this point. And I feel like that it will all get better, but it's going to take about another 2 years for it to really get better for those of us that have been working hard. And that's a good thing. So I see that as a good thing.
Nancy, I thank you. I know
Yes,
you
dear.
have the Passover boxes and the other boxes, and the time that you spent with us is a blessing. And you know to reach out to me. I've helped sometimes and gone down there and
She
peeled
does.
pounds and pounds of shrimp. I'm good at that. What can I say?
She is.
At least you didn't
And
ask me to bake.
no, no, but it's a good thing. You know what? I sometimes ask friends to come and help. That way I can spend some time with them and you're on the list. So that's a beautiful
Right.
thing.
Right. Nancy, moi, we will see each other
Be
soon.
well.
Thank you. And everyone, thank you for staying tuned. And I was wrapping up when Nancy came back in. Her car's in the shop. I understand her having to take the call. Um, this show will automatically be up on Jay Moore's Facebook page, jmooreliving.com, and YouTube in the next couple hours. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me at food@jmooreliving.com. My social is at Dara Cooks. Follow me. And I want to wish you all the best of the holiday seasons. May it bring you everything that you want. Hopefully, with small gatherings, maybe you're seeing family for the first time, having had your vaccinations. So, everyone, if you're able to get the vaccinations, get it. I've had my second one, I didn't have any problems. Wear your mask, even though you're vaccinated, you're out and social, do wear your mask. Support your local restaurants, support Pierpoint, support Aldo, support Soda Sopra, support Cafe Gia. Do you think I have a passion for Italian restaurants? I think I do. Support the local restaurants and may your plates always remain full. The best of the holiday season. I will see you in 2 weeks when Chef Dave Thomas will be our guest. Good day.